This is a pretty good example of what it looks like not trimmed. Skip Laurel, cherry laurel, and this shows you the side when it is trimmed and the top done. Let's say if you have the time, do it twice a year, doing about 8 to 12 inches each time. It's easier, quicker, faster, but twice a year will cost you more than once a year because the process is still the same. The cleanup, the trimming, and these things don't trim as easy, as quick as you want them to because their leaves are very wide and the teeth on most of the trimmers are narrower, so some of the areas you end up having to swipe 2-3 times. Here it cuts from the first time. Here it doesn't because it doesn't fit in between the teeth. So there you go. I'll do the other side probably tomorrow. Today's Saturday. I still get a couple of hours to go grill up some steaks. Anyways. So this is my strategy. First on the ground, I take the trimmer. I fold it at the 45 and I run through and I get the start line. And you can see now, because in some areas it may not be straight, knowing that I already adjust that. This is something, being a pro, I guess, you already know how to do. Because if you don't, it's gonna look like this. Many people end up taking a line and running it from side to side. Some people end up taking a spray can and painting a line as a guide. But here's the thing. Never start from the left. Never start backwards. Never start from the left or never start from the right. Start from the middle or start from where your lowest point is, because wherever your lowest point is, you can't go any lower. So at least you're gonna know you're gonna have to be right there. And then as you end up going through, get the ladder. My back is really killing me today, so I'm moving like an old grandpa. Have a rake. And then when you end up cutting, you can clearly see what you're doing. Rake out the clippings so you can see. Don't fall, buddy. I'm in here. But anyways, so keep a rake on you. You're working by yourself. And then take your trimmer. I'm gonna try to do this by holding the phone and show you. Yeah, this is not gonna work. But anyways. Put this thing down. Once you do this, you can see the top. You can shake off the rest of the stuff later, but at least you can see how this started to take shape. And so depending on how good your eye is, what I would recommend, go 15-20 feet, step back, and kind of see how it's forming. Another very valuable thing is to use a house, anything that's in the back, as a guide to see if you're going parallel to something or not. If you're starting to go dip down or this way, this is when you really want to correct your line. So as you can see on this one, this side right here needs to be dropped about 1.5 to 2 inches. So for me to continue doing this the right way, I have to drop that. All right, so now that we have done the left side, one of the tricks is once you know where your straight line is, if you want to know exactly how the rest of the hedge is going, lower your eye and line up the rest with it. And you'll see anytime if there's anything that sticks out. Yep. So here's $1 million question. Contractors, landscapers asking, how much should I charge? Homeowners are coming in saying, how much, why should I pay this much? Here's the things with hedges. It really depends on who you're dealing with, if they're green, if they're desperate, if they've done it for a while. This specific hedge, and I'm standing here, just as you can see, this gap here is still not filling in, but this hedge can cost anywhere from, I'd say, $300 to $1,000. There's some companies that can charge $1,200, $1,300 easily, depending on the zip code, on the neighborhood. I would say what I would charge for this about $750. Now, for 2 guys to do this, it'll take about, let's say, average speed, guys not busting their chops, guys that are working for the company, owners, the way owners would do this, the way managers would do this, and just employees, 2 completely different things. So 2 guys doing this, it would take them about, say, from beginning to the end, if you don't catch them around lunchtime, I'd say about 3 to 4 hours. 4 on the longer side, 3 medium. If you guys are busting chops, we're talking 2.5 hours. I have only done one side, the top, and the top is not done. You can see some of those up there in the end. I did not trim them because I couldn't reach them. I will get them once I do the other side. So the amount of debris this accumulates, this is probably going to be about 4 yards of debris. So any company that does something like this, they would have to take this and dump this at the end of the day and pay recycling fees. Most places in the United States charge anywhere from $20 to $40 a yard just to dump the debris. So because this is very dense, this will be 3 to 4 yards. So a company will have to pay approximately about $120 just to get rid of this. So know whatever price you're getting for this is the time for labor, it's the time for trip charge to your property and from your property, and it's recycling fees. So this is where many companies don't do hedges. They would rather do small, little tiny stuff like that, or they would rather ride a lawnmower all day long in comfort on a really nice, comfortable seat, instead of doing something like this, because you see my hand? You gotta sweat. You gotta put your back into it. And it's only 64 degrees today. So if this was 90 or 100, I would not recommend trimming anything above 85, 90. But these up here, there's a little bit of a slope. So these up here, they're not necessarily easy money earned. So most landscapers or companies, if they have other options to do mulch, mowing, trimming shrubs, water features, anything else, they will try to avoid edges at any cost. That's why typically the companies or the guys you find, they will hack and make them look like absolute crap, because you know what? They know they're not really competing with anybody really good, because most people or most guys that are really busy with work do not like doing hedges. And this hedge up here is a baby. I'm standing here, that's about 8.5 feet high. This is really nothing. So once you get to the 16 or 20 foot hedges, that's a different story. So anyways, if you can get somebody or your regular landscaper do this for you for $500, $500 to $700, don't complain, don't bitch about it, because you'll piss them off and they're not going to want to do any other stuff for you because you're cheapskate. So you want to get this done for less than $300. Amateurs, green peas, pros that have very busy schedule, $1,000 to $1,300 for something like this. So I'm putting in a turnaround, and let's see my little booger up here. Bring a chair for me. I'm like, hey, what do I need the chair for? He goes, like, for you to sit. And I'm like, honey, I'm trying to do this hedge. There's no way I'm going to do this today. He goes, well, that's for you to sit. He goes, can I prune? So he brings a pair of pruners. And I told him because they're very sharp, he needs to have gloves. So he went in to get a pair of gloves to help while he is playing with his friend. I think I've gotten lucky by having this kid. That's not something that you get very often. So there's times when these things should be pruned. Times when it's easier and times where it's harder. Today is 28th of June. And so all the growth for this year had stopped growing. But in May, when you see these just as sticks come out, if you end up cutting them about right here, what does it mean? You're going to have another 6 to 8 inches of new growth still continue to grow. So instead of doing this once a year, you're going to do it 2 times, 3 times a year. So now, is it easier to cut this without the leaves being opened? Yes. But then you have to follow through and do it second time. I prefer the other option. Having to cut off 2.5 feet at the same time ends up coming out to be a lot of debris you gotta clean up. So I prefer the other way, to prune when you just have a little bit and then touch it up. A lot less cleanup, a lot easier. But to have to cut wood that you can see, as a matter of fact, I'll show you something real cool.
Dad, I want to help you.
Sweetheart, why don't you go have fun and Papa's gonna do it. So you have this year's growth right here. You can see it runs all the way up to here, where the branch starts to lose color. That is the last year's growth. And as you continue going through, it gets deeper, darker, and thicker. So technically, in the last 2 months, this is how much he has grown. My little helpers came out. That one is mine right there. No matter what I do, he comes out, starts helping. All right, so we're going to talk about hedges today. I'm going to show you 4 different kinds. This one right here, you see, is a Skip Laurel. And this stuff grows pretty fast, very dense. As you can see, I haven't even got to the top. There's a huge difference when trimming a hedge. If you get to cut off inches or feet, I'm going to try to do this with one hand. It shows you this branch right here is 2.5 feet. Here's my crock. 1, 2, 3. Just to show you the right side, left side. I'm going to be going very heavily and trimming the tops. So that's one hedge. Here's a second type of a hedge. This is a variety, emerald green. Requires less trimming than any other. Okay. Third is Boxwood. And that's a fourth one. Leyland Cypress. You can see this one gets the biggest, grows the fastest, but you can keep the width of it down by doing it at the right time. Another boxwood. anything that you see that kind of sticks out, like this guy right here, I couldn't reach it because it was too wide. I'm gonna get that from the other side. Trim that down, but you can see the line runs nice and level. One of the ways to tell if the top is straight, as you continue moving forward, look behind and make sure that line that you have there lines up with the rest of the line. See how level that is? So anything you see, like for example, those guys I haven't trimmed the other side. So today I'm not going to do the top. It's going to get dark in about 30 minutes. I got about probably another hour and a half, 2 hours of work. So at least how I started without a ladder. I started one side, then I'll grab a ladder, put it up here, and finish off the other side.